And now to a very important public service announcement. Are you a politician worried about what life may hold for you when it's time to exit the building? Well, fear not, because the project has created a helpful little guide to make sure you remain relevant when thrust into the unforgiving winds of the real world.
Meet Bill. After 17 years in politics and winning silver in 2 federal elections, he's ready for greener pastures. But what kindly institution would take in a humble politician?
I've been chosen to be the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Canberra.
Yes, like his good friend Julie Bishop, who moved diagonally into Chancellorship of the ANU, Bill has chosen the lucrative world of academia, with a payday expected to exceed $1 million. Because for most former pollies, the world is their oyster.
Politicians who end up as ambassadors probably get the best of the bunch. Not only do they get an overseas posting, they get staff, they get a residence, and their job is essentially to go to parties, have the dinners, and sell Australia to investors.
But if you're sick of public service, there's always the private sector. Yes, take all the knowledge and contacts you made as representative of the people and channel them into the banking sector.
Governments should never be cavalier about the way that they treat banks and the way that they tax them.
Or overseas consultancy firms.
I'll be able to continue to do things that I'm very interested in the defence, technology.
Or private contracting.
I had the chance to start a new career and go ahead with a new life after public service of more than a quarter of a century.
You will often find them working in the private sector in an area that they covered in their ministry or in their department. They've got the relationships, they know the people. It's a pretty easy half step out of politics.
Yes, your post-poly possibilities are endless. Why not try your hand at wedding DJ? North Face model, swimwear model, or CEO of the Egg Council. It's your time to cash in.
I think politicians think that they deserve all of these high-level paydays, and they will often tell you that's because they're not being paid that much while they're in Parliament. But I can tell you something, that they're earning a lot more than you, me, and most of the people watching this.
So fear not. Opportunity awaits outside the Canberra bubble, as does a healthy paycheck and impressive new title.
I mean, there's one title which would have been better, Prime Minister, but if you've got to have another title, that's nice.
Oh, great work from our voiceover expert.
You're most welcome.
Well, Toby Ralph is a marketing strategist and political advisor who's worked on over 40 elections. He's with us. Toby, look, we know why former pollies would want these kind of nice, juicy jobs, but what exactly do businesses, universities or contractors get out of having them on the payroll?
They get a bit of payback. And they get a bit of entree. It's pretty simple, and some pretty good skills. You know, once you've been through the early burly of Parliament, you can put up with just about anything, I think.
But I kind of wonder, because some politicians can be divisive, so isn't there a chance like you're pissing off half your customers by hiring them?
Yeah, you can. I mean, if, for example, in Victoria, if somebody put Dan Andrews on a big board at the moment, a whole lot of companies wouldn't deal with that company. But most of them are fairly, anodyne. Bill Shorten, nobody's going to get too cross with him being on a board, I don't think, or being a Vice-Chancellor, or... No, I don't think that's a big problem.
Yeah, especially when I don't even know what a Vice-Chancellor is.
I just like the vice part of it.
Yeah, just you're not the actual thing, you're the next two thing.
Yeah.
But also, I was always under the impression that pollies get a huge payout when they leave Parliament. They've got all these entitlements. Do they even really need these jobs anyway?
Well, it depends. Poor old Bill, he's scraping by at the moment on just a bit under 400 grand a year, which must be pretty tough. And this will probably treble his money. He should be making 100 grand a month as a Vice-Chancellor. So it'll top up his pension a bit, I think. He can probably afford the, electricity bills and chicken on the table, is my guess.
It just sounds dodgy, right? These politicians, they go from regulating these industries to then working for the companies behind them as well. I mean, it's questionable, right?
Yeah, look, actually, some of them are pretty good and some of them are pretty senior. You think of Josh Frydenberg, the former treasurer. He's now chair of Goldman Sachs, which I reckon pays a bit more than the public service job before. And he's very good, very smart, very appropriate for that job. Being a politician, you get knocked around, you get to make tough decisions all the time, and it's a far more brutal environment than business. So they can actually be pretty useful.
But Toby, what about those politicians who can't get a vice-chancellorship, an ambassadorship, some other juicy job? What other kind of work would they be best suited to? Are there transferable skills?
Most of them can get on a board. Most of them can get on a board because, if you go into a board, they breed like rabbits in the boardrooms of Australia. You can't, spit without hitting the shoulder pad of a politician in a boardroom. Most pollies can get good gigs. It's their staffers who have a problem.
But how good are these gigs? Like, how many chickens on the table are we getting?
You're getting oversized turkeys.
OK.
They're pretty serious gigs.
And how many of those chickens are raw in curries? Let's be honest.
Very good.
Yeah.
Toby, this is where you sing to us Cuban Sun. What is it? Cuban Sun in April. Is that what it is?
April Sun in Cuba.
Oh, my God. It could be a great song.
I've got a ukulele. We're good.
Thank you for taking us through it.
Pleasure.